Today our topic is the most inspirational Stoic stories from history. Stoicism is a philosophy that teaches us how to live a good life by focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. It is about finding peace and strength within ourselves, no matter what happens around us. Throughout history, many people have shown incredible courage, calmness, and wisdom by following Stoic principles. Their stories inspire us to face our own challenges with the same strength and dignity. Let me share some of these stories with you. One of the most famous Stoic philosophers was Epictetus. He was born as a slave in ancient Rome, which meant he had no freedom or power over his life. But even in such difficult conditions, Epictetus learned to focus on what he could control his own mind and actions. He believed that no one could take away his inner freedom, no matter how much they tried to control his body. Later, he became a free man and a teacher of Stoicism. His teachings remind us that no matter how hard life is, we always have the power to choose how we respond. We can choose to be brave, kind, and wise, even when everything around us seems unfair or painful. Another inspiring story is about Marcus Aurelius, who was one of the most powerful men in the world as the Roman emperor. Despite his immense power, Marcus Aurelius practiced Stoicism every day. He wrote a book called Meditations, which was really a journal for himself. In it, he reminded himself to stay humble, to do what is right, and to accept whatever life brings. He faced many challenges during his rule, including wars, plagues, and betrayals. But he always tried to stay calm and focused on his duty to his people. His life shows us that even when we have great responsibilities or face big problems, we can still live with wisdom and integrity. Then there is the story of Cato the Younger, a Roman politician who stood up for what he believed in, no matter the cost. Cato was a strict follower of Stoic principles, and he believed in justice and honesty above all else. When Julius Caesar tried to take over Rome and destroy the Republic, Cato fought against him, even though he knew he might lose. In the end, Cato chose to take his own life rather than live under Caesar's rule. While this might seem extreme to us today, Cato's story teaches us about the importance of standing up for our values, even when it is difficult or dangerous. His courage and commitment to his principles are still remembered and admired. Another example is Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism. Zeno was a merchant who lost everything in a shipwreck. Instead of giving up, he turned to philosophy and started asking big questions about life, happiness, and how to live well. He eventually created the philosophy of Stoicism, which has helped millions of people over the centuries. Zeno's story reminds us that even when we face great losses, we can find new purpose and meaning. Sometimes our biggest challenges can lead us to something even greater than we had before. The story of Seneca is also very inspiring. Seneca was a philosopher and advisor to the Roman Emperor Nero. He was one of the wealthiest and most powerful men in Rome, but he never forgot his Stoic principles. Seneca believed that true wealth is not about money or possessions, but about having a peaceful mind and a good heart. He wrote many letters and essays about how to live a good life, even in difficult times. Later, Nero ordered Seneca to kill himself, and Seneca did so calmly and bravely. His life teaches us that we can find peace and strength within ourselves, no matter what happens outside. These stories show us that Stoicism is not just a philosophy for ancient times, it is still very relevant today. Life is full of challenges, and we all face difficulties at some point. But the Stoics remind us that we have the power to choose how we respond. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can control our thoughts, our actions, and our attitude. This is a very powerful idea, and it can help us in many areas of life. For example, imagine you are going through a tough time at work. Maybe your boss is unfair, or your colleagues are difficult. It's easy to feel angry or stressed in this situation. But Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control. We can't control how other people behave, but we can control how we respond. We can choose to stay calm, do our best, and treat others with kindness. This doesn't mean we have to accept bad behavior. We can still stand up for ourselves in a respectful way. But by focusing on our own actions and attitude, we can find peace even in a difficult situation. Or think about a time when you faced a big failure or disappointment. Maybe you didn't get the job you wanted, or a relationship ended badly. It's natural to feel sad or frustrated in these moments. But Stoicism teaches us to accept what we cannot change and to focus on what we can do next. We can learn from our mistakes, grow stronger, and move forward. This doesn't mean we should ignore our feelings. It's okay to feel sad or angry. But we don't have to let those feelings control us. We can choose to focus on the positive and keep going. Stoicism also teaches us to be grateful for what we have. Many of us spend a lot of time thinking about what we don't have or what we want. But the Stoics remind us to appreciate the good things in our lives, no matter how small. For example, we can be grateful for our health, our family, or even a beautiful day. When we focus on gratitude, we feel happier and more content. This doesn't mean we should stop trying to improve our life. Stoicism encourages us to grow and learn. But it reminds us to enjoy the present moment and appreciate what we already have. Finally, Stoicism teaches us about the importance of helping others. The Stoics believe that we are all connected, and that we should treat others with kindness and respect. They believe that true happiness comes from living a life of virtue and helping others. This is a very important lesson for today's world, where it's easy to feel isolated or selfish. By focusing on how we can help others, we can find deeper meaning and joy in our lives. In conclusion, the stories of Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, Cato, Zeno, and Seneca remind us of the power of Stoicism. They show us how to live with courage, wisdom, and kindness, no matter what challenges we face. Stoicism is not about ignoring our feelings or pretending that life is easy. It's about facing life's difficulties with strength and dignity. It's about focusing on what we can control, accepting what we cannot, and finding peace within ourselves. These lessons are just as important today as they were in ancient times. By following the example of these great Stoics, we can live happier, more meaningful lives.